Basically, what that seems like to me is the WEF is goading, or maybe it's not the right word, persuading
Predicting.
Western
Yeah.
countries, to identify critical minerals, which I'm in agreement with, and I think silver is one of those. But it also seems to be a precursor for what I talked about before in commodity wars. If everybody does that and everybody's withholding access to minerals because they're deemed critical or not trading them or putting barriers up, doesn't that lead to potential conflict in other?
Welcome to Gold Silver Pros. Searching for the best precious metals deal? Shop with our trusted partner, ARC Silver. Access special deals on silver, gold, and platinum through our website or call 307-264-9441.
Hey everybody, this is Rob Keens from goldsilverpros.com. We have a returning guest of the program. It is Ian Everard of our partnership and affiliates with ARC Silver, and he's here to talk about what's going on in the metals market. This is our Monday metals update that you see every Monday on the channel. Ian, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you, Rob. And yourself?
I'm doing very, very well. And we were talking before the program, Ian, quite extensively about what's going on in the world. And a couple of years ago, I'd done a presentation, I think at Money, Metals and Mines virtual conference or something along those lines, where I talked about the oncoming commodity wars, and I predicted that we get into the stage we are now. And now, Ian, I think you're starting to see some of these third-party international type of agencies make comments about that. And you had some really interesting quotes, I think, from the WEF, if that's where you got it. Can you explain, what you're seeing there, and why would that be significant?
Sure. So I was watching another channel and they mentioned some information off the World Economic Forum. So whilst I was building boxes up, ready to pack, I thought I'll have a look. And oh my gosh, they got a mine of stuff on there. And they're creating names for different things. I mean, abiotic natural capital. That's like, okay. Anthropogenic emissions. And then they have some ominous phrases like accidental extinction events. Now, I don't think at the moment the World Economic Forum are too powerful, but they want to be, and they've definitely got the wealth, and they've got the attention of people like Prince Charles, and some former presidents have been very pally with the World Economic Forum guys. So if when they start talking about things like that, maybe we should sort of take notice of them. Lots of things talking about continued tightness in major labor markets may exacerbate wage inflation, meaning there may need to be a material increase in unemployment to contain consumer inflation. So it's this class of people, these elites, that cause the inflation by the currency debasement. Now they want to lay people off, make them unemployed to counter inflation. It's just, whoa. You could get very angry reading this stuff.
Yeah, you could. And it seems as though every time we have some sort of issue, some technocrat or something along those lines, who I guess has a college degree and feels the need to define it. And then, of course, we need to enact policy around it. And usually that ends up being something's caused by somebody else. We give it a term, this poly, whatever. It's an issue or an event. And then we issue policy around it that affects the people and their ability to transact commerce and, the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness here in the United States with the Constitution. But we're not the ones that cause problems in the first place. I feel as though our freedoms are somewhat abrogated by the actions of other people, and that's usually how this goes. What do you think are going to be the consequences of them really defining these sort of new terms and saying we need to do something about it? Is it going to end up good for us, or what? Why do you suppose they're using this terminology now?
Well, it's a slippery slope into more and more control. It's more and more, I mean, already the Constitution is slipping away. Is it Article 1, Section 10, the states shall use nothing but gold and silver coin as settlement for debts.
Yeah.
Well, that's been somewhat ignored, hasn't it?
I just did a blog article on this. Yeah, there's no amendment which says gold and silver are not money. And in fact, for those of you who point to the Federal Reserve Act in 1913, it didn't do away with gold and silver as money. In fact, gold was backing the money and silver was in the money until 1965, until 1971, when gold was backing the money. So we never really got rid of gold and silver as money. It was just sort of pushed down, looking at Ecker's pyramid, into, a bucket that the government could use to support the fiat currency. But then they went and printed the fiat. So I guess not only was that promise broken, but that system is broken. I'm wary about us moving into other new systems in which we never really fixed the problems with the previous ones.
Yeah, and the problem just compounds, and actually silver carried on to 1970 in the Kennedy
did,
half
yes.
dollars, 40%
And Kennedy
silver.
half dollars, yeah.
And it carried on even later in Canada and the Canadian dollars. And then the replacement, I mean, heck, if you hold them up together, they're still silver color, just trying to kid us that it's the same money. So
Can you talk about the WEF and their comments towards commodities and precious metals as well? I think you had a specific quote there that we found kind of interesting.
Sure. Yeah, let me find it. So this jumped out at me because I think this is what you mentioned in your book over 10 years ago. One of the state intervention is centered on the resource most exposed to a concentration in supply. Now, this is a WS speaking to the problems for the next 10 coming in the next 10 years. And it might not be 10 years in the coming, it might be next month, next year.
Mm-hmm.
And they go on to say critical metals and minerals. So we're going to fight over these, leading to shortages, price wars, and the transformation of business models across industries. So they've identified critical metals and minerals. And in my opinion, and yeah, I'm 100% biased towards silver, hence 𝘎𝑐, that silver is the most critical metal.
Yeah, and I do think silver is rare earths. You could get down to uranium, anything in which basically what that seems like to me is the WEF is goading, or maybe it's not the right word, persuading Western countries, to identify critical minerals, which I'm in agreement with, and I think silver is one of those. But it also seems to be a precursor for what I talked about before in commodity wars. If everybody does that and everybody's withholding access to minerals because they're deemed critical, or not trading them, or putting barriers up, doesn't that lead to potential conflict in other ways? Not just trade conflict, but potential hot conflict, do you think?
It either can be just as devastating for a foreign nation. And if you lose access to a certain crucial metal that is used in your industry, you lose access to it, you lose the ability to make that product. We have the situation of Airbus in Europe. Where do they get their aluminum and titanium from? Russia. That's not coming at the moment. So how is Airbus going to make planes without aluminum and titanium, two of the key metals? So already we're seeing consequences of different nations' actions leading to incredible disruption. We have Germany, we have BASF in Germany. I think I'm right in saying it's the largest chemical company in the world. They are shifting their plant to Louisiana because they know they're never going to get gas and oil from Russia again. So they are moving their whole manufacturing process where they use gas and oil, not for energy in this case, but for making chemicals, a whole range of chemicals. So already we're seeing massive moves of the largest corporations. We have Apple, not necessarily for shortage of metals yet, but they're shifting their production out of China as fast as they can. So we're having an unraveling of existing globalization trade at a rate we could never have imagined. What has taken 20 or 30, 40 years to build up into complex supply chains is ending in months.
Yeah, and I anticipate that's going to cause all sorts of angst, because if you think about government plans, expansion, the economy, not only the government figureheads, but also people, they tend to get an expectation of this is the way life is going now. We want to expand and build upon that. But Ian, it's possible we could be entering a time frame in which a lot of the supplies that we take for granted are no longer available to us in the amounts or at the prices we expect. Simple examples include energy and things like eggs, which are priced very exorbitantly due to supply chain shortages and challenges, but assuming that the world moves to protecting the resources as the WEF is indicating here, which is something, again, I predicted 2 years ago in my presentation and hinted on as well 12 years ago when I wrote the book. This is something that has happened in the past. It would not surprise me again if we went to a protectionist or a regional sort of trade block trade agreement, which would, Ian, seem to align not only with the WEF's comments on commodities and what we see in the existing commodities markets, but also what we potentially will see in the central bank digital currencies, more regional competing currencies. I could see this all lining up. So in light of all that, it does seem as though there's risk to the everyday person in maintaining your lifestyle, regardless maybe of how much money you have, because if something's out of supply, it's out of supply. It doesn't matter how much money you have in your pocket.
Sure.
So that people may need to, make preparations for that. And while we cannot hold necessarily all of us a barrel of oil in our backyard and or refine that into gasoline so that we can use it, and where we may not be able to grow our own chickens or manage our own beef stock, one way in which we could offset the potential risk there, at least from a price perspective, is with silver and gold. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's compact, it's private, it doesn't go off. It always gives an accounting for currency debasement, not necessarily a rate we would like, not necessarily to the timing that we would like, but throughout history, gold and silver always give an accounting for currency debasement. And we're looking at continued currency debasement with potential US deficits of 3 trillion a year with inflation act. So let's create some more inflation to fight inflation. Yeah, okay, that's really smart. So yeah, no, absolutely, Rob. It's private, it's compact. What's not to like about storing your wealth for future use in the precious metals?
I agree with that. And while I would always encourage people to store additional food if you can, we talked about that on the program, eliminate or reduce your exposure to prices of certain things. Always manage your budget, be frugal, spend only on what you need and save. I do think long term, the best way to offset a lot of these problems is to have gold and silver, because if there's something out there to be traded for, I would imagine gold and silver are going to sit at the top of that pyramid in terms of what people trade you for, whereas maybe the fiat currencies may not, get you there in the future certainly if we go to a multipolar world in the currency space.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely going fully digital. We're close anyway. That is definitely coming, and I think it's coming this year. So not only will they have a record of every cent spent, they'll be able to tell you if you can buy something and how much of it you can buy. That will be simultaneous, just a keystroke for some bureaucrat or for, and since when has Western governments been benevolent? They all seem to be acting in their own interest or interests of others who control them. It seems that corruption is endemic in Western government. And we like to point the finger at the developing nations, but we should have a look at their own relationships. Our prime ministers and presidents and senators and MPs have, it's pretty murky, a lot of them. Why would we trust them to tell us what we can and can't buy? And that's what's coming. We will be told what we can and can't buy, and when. It's like, and we'll be told you have to buy this. All those units will expire,
Yeah, I think that's a big risk. I think I started writing about that in my book when I started writing 2009. And one of the chapters I talked about the China plan and their early recognition of the fact that the world's running out of resources. What they did then is just load everything up at their port, and then they were using it to build cities and infrastructure they thought they'd need in the future. But then it got to the point of, I think the Chinese figured out, well, we're going to need to manage this multi-generationally. We don't see the supply chain problems being short term, definitely long term. So I think that they, their brick and road initiative is an attempt to try to help control, or at least as much as they can, facilitate that supply chain for their own needs. And I think it was with an eye to potential conflicts that are upcoming. And I think the WEF's words that you read for us are indicative of what China saw probably 10, 12 years ago, and now the rest of the world's seeing. Switching over to the precious metals, since you deal with the wholesalers and the retail market, what are you seeing there, Ian? Are there any shortages going on? Is there available supply? Give us a little bit on the metals and what we're seeing there.
Yeah, no, supply seems good. It looks like premiums have bottomed out. So with a falling spot, that metals are actually getting cheaper and cheaper day by day at the moment. It's now's a decision to make. Do I wait till tomorrow and hope it's 50 cents cheaper, or do we see a sudden rise again? I probably guess which way the market's going to move 50% of the time, so I might as well just toss one of the coins I sell to decide which is it going up or going down. But yeah, I think premiums have definitely bottomed out.
So you think the premiums have bottomed out, and you think that given where the prices are, the prices obviously hit a dip, which we predicted. I wrote something for Jan Bullion and also put a short video, which we put out on social media. I thought we were due for a pullback. We did get the pullback. The interesting thing is I'm trying to get the latest COT report from the CFTC, the Commitment Traders Report, because we know spot prices are determined on the COMEX, and that's been delayed. CFTC has issued an announcement that's been delayed. I don't know why that's been delayed. I'm not going to make any suppositions or thoughts or predictions on it, but right now we don't have the positioning for the COT market, so we can't tell why gold and silver's pulled back. But early on, we could see that the bullion banks were going short and maybe setting, the managed money up for a squeeze, or, this happens in markets all the time. You just playing what you think the other side is going to do. Not saying it's illegal or anything otherwise, but it appears as though the bullion banks were setting up managed money for a little bit of a squeeze or a little bit of a, price shock came. So it seems to me that can't go on forever, because there seems to be a lot of generalist movement into the metals, headlined by Jim Cramer, but talked about on Bloomberg and CNBC. So I think the bull market's still here. And so what you're saying is prices are in a dip and we have lower premiums. So it could potentially be an entry point if people, believe everything I just said about the conditions of the market, that it'll continue to go up. This could be a place to get in. And to that point, you do provide for us and for our listeners low premium gold, silver. So I want to put that up on the screen. These are the deals that you have for us currently. I'm going to read them out for you. You're currently offering the 1,000-ounce bar, the ones that come off the COMEX industrial bars, like the one I had in the video I have on your website, the unboxing, for 79 cents per ounce over spot. We have 1 kilogram silver bars at 195 per ounce over spot. These 5 government minted silver coins only: silver maples, silver Britannias, silver Armenia Noah's Arks, silver Philharmonics, and silver kangaroos, all at 333 per ounce over spot. And lastly, you're offering up American silver eagles, if you buy them by the monster box, so in quantity, at $7.50 per ounce over spot. I think, Ian, all of those beat all the prices that I was able to look at in the markets the last couple of days. But anyway, give us a little bit of information on what you're providing to people and how they can go about getting this.
Yeah, sure. So we're pleased to be able to offer the 1,000-ounce bars at the lowest price we've ever been able to sell them for. We've got a deal with a major wholesaler to enable that. Hopefully that will carry on for a few days. I think you put out the deal, the 333 deal on Saturday. And we've managed to secure some more stock, so we're extending that. We're carrying that on. Same for the kilos.
Okay.
And then we had plenty of inquiries about the eagles, where we managed to get a $7.50 deal. If we do start selling a lot more monster boxes of those, we will try and extend that to people if they just want a tube or 2 tubes or whatever. So what we are doing, basically, we are selling any quantity at below everyone else's price that they're selling a monster box for.
Yeah, that's awesome. And thank you for that, Ian. And just to frame those deals, most of that is limited quantities as supplies last. However, because it's special pricing, because you're going to see it lower than anybody else. And what Ian does is he buys stock when it's cheap, and then he'll sell it into the market, beating everybody else's prices. He's just very good at doing this so that, everybody's making something out of the deal. However, if somebody wants to scale up into a much larger order, Ian does have access to the wholesaler. So maybe not at those particular rates, but Ian will be able to get you a larger deal. And to do that, let me share with people how you do that if you're really interested in getting any of these metals. A couple of ways you can do it. Easiest way is go to goldsilverpros.com, click on where it says more and precious metals. click on the link for ARC, and you get this page in which you can inquire via Ian. It'll come via email. You can also text him here if you wish. Make sure you whitelist this, so if he emails or texts you back, you guys get it. It doesn't go to spam. That's the easiest way to do it, Ian. If they want to reach out to you, just reach out to you that way, mention Gold, Silver Pros, or come through the web form. Exciting news, not ready to announce yet, but you guys are developing your own online store. It is not ready for prime time just yet, but when it is, we'll announce it. And therefore, people want to go see the current deals and use automated ordering. And then the fulfillment will be the same from Ian, but the ordering would be more automated in an online store. That's coming soon, isn't it, Ian?
It is, yeah, we're trying it. We've had a few sales just to see how it all works, working with Shopify. We've managed to get live spot on there as well. So basically what we've done, Rob, we've got an online store, but without the high costs associated normally with an online store, and with the very popular Shopify site. So yeah, and I think we're going to put one of our first things we're going to promote on there is your new bar that's coming.
Yeah, we'll have a new bar, and we'll announce that. We're going to do a pre-order on that, and probably within the next week, you guys will see details on the Gold Silver Pros bar, which will be held right now exclusively through Ian's store. If you guys want that through our partnership with him, we do trust ARC Silver. Has been on the program, been great. We'll announce all those things. Don't want to get too far into it, but that deal is still live, the one that we put up on screen, and I'll also put that in the description field in this video for you guys. Ian, thank you so much for stopping by, and thank you for being a part of our Monday Metals update that we're going to have every week.
You're welcome. Thank you, Rob.
Hey, thanks for watching. We selected these videos just for you. Check them out. And remember, $4.99 a month keeps the lights on and the channel going. So join our Gold Silver Pro supporter membership. We appreciate your support. Keep stacking.